Greetings, everyone. My name is Aya, and thank you so much for joining me on my workbook/podcast, Trigger Happy. This podcast is being made in correspondence to an actual handbook, manual, or workbook to assist you with the practicals of working with your shamanic journey in your everyday life. My company is A Very Good Life Incorporated. It's a spiritual lifestyle brand that assists people in turning their spiritual practices into a grounded, foundational lifestyle that is sustainable for themselves, their families, and for generations to come because it's just time for us to surrender to spirit and get out of worshiping, idolizing, and identifying ourselves with the temporal world. Today we're going to be discussing empaths and I guess the how to get free or what makes you feel enslaved. What is your blind spot? What's your deal? Why is it that you can't seem to this candle's out of control. Why you can't seem to quite use your intelligence in the way that would allow you to be empowered. So we're going to get into what trips up empaths. Empaths are very intelligent people. Empaths are survivors because being empathetic is a defense mechanism. I don't feel like it's like this angelic. It's a. Let me finish my sentence because I always interrupt myself. I don't feel like it makes you an angel necessarily, but I feel like it's a way an angelic type person or a person who is kind-hearted copes with stress and being around selfish people. Your counterpart, your enemy this lifetime would be narcissists, right? And so narcissists and empaths have the same wound, but they handle their journey in different ways. But let me tell you how they're similar. Both avoid transformation like the plague. Empaths run to relationships to hide and run away from their process of healing because they're so deathly afraid to face the fact that, or the pain of not being cared for. Because empaths' kryptonite is not being loved, not being validated, not being seen, not being heard, and narcissists run to empaths for love because narcissists narcissists feel like they're going to get swallowed up if they show love. They feel controlled by having to show love. They feel like there's no way in hell that someone could possibly truly love them, and so it must be a trick, a scandal, and a scheme set up by Todd. So it's a different way of coping with the same wound of not being loved. So narcissists are like, well, I'm not going to ever be forced to love anyone ever again without getting anything back in return, so I'm never going to love anybody because everybody is unloving, just like that bitch, my mother, who didn't love me when I was growing up. But a narcissist will never really truly stop loving or giving to their abusers. That's a different story. So let's get it popping. We already touched on a couple of things. Let's dig a little bit deeper as to what trips up empaths and why their kryptonite is not being loved. So what is a empath? What is empathology? What does it mean to be empathetic? Well, I'm not looking up a definition. I'm going off of my own intelligence. Okay, so to me, To be empathetic means to be able to, on a surface level, simply pick up on a subtle body of other people. Okay? Which, honestly, if you are not a stubborn body person with a lot of stuck energy, everybody can do that. That is how we. That's how you can be around somebody and be like, are you okay? What's wrong? Whether that person be physically ill or emotionally unsettled or have something on their mind that's dark. Everybody can kind of sense their environment because we all have a subtle body. Now, how the New Age movement, I guess, I don't know who has taken this natural connection to life that we all have. Babies have it. Are all babies empaths? I don't know. Are dogs empaths? I guess so. You know, but the New Age movement have taken it to mean that you can, you're the caregiver of the world, and you're a healer. And being an empath doesn't mean that you're a healer. Okay, if you are picking up on people's energy and you move in for the kill and decide to assist these people with healing without them asking for permission, you, ma'am, you, sir, are overstepping your boundaries. And you need to figure out why you feel the need to do that without anyone's permission. No, 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 no. I already know why you do it. Let's talk about it. So why do people do that? It's a pathology. It's because of a pathology. Symptoms that are getting passed down from generation to generation. And the message that you got when you were a child is that in order for you to be safe in your environment, not even loved, okay? In order for you to be safe in your environment, you had to make sure that everyone was okay. And this not necessarily meaning healthy, but that their ego was stroked, that you took care of yours and their chores. Basically you had to make sure people that were bullying you stayed off your back. And so how you read energy now, if you consider yourself an empath and you can't stop helping people and you can't stop healing people without them asking you to, you know, you're reading people who are maybe stressed out and in distress, and you have an automatic response to make sure that they don't bully you. And so you are assuming that everyone that is stressed in some way or angry or sad or depressed or hungry or you know, needs your assistance. But no, 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 no. The truth is that you're afraid that they're going to attack you. And so how you stop the attack is by being like, are you okay? You know, that's one way. You take on their stress. You're like, I'll take your stress for you as long as you don't hit me energetically. Now, the catch 22 is that if you put yourself in the way of people who respond to life in that way, they are going to hit you. And so then you feel betrayed and you feel like, well, I was nice to her. I was nice to him. How come they're not nice to me? Because they're not nice. That's why. It doesn't have anything to do with you being unlovable, honey. I was going to say sweetheart. Honey, sweetheart, darling, baby. I really want to take you and look you in the eyes and really help you get that other people's stress is not yours. And they can handle it in their way, in their own time, when they are ready. And you don't have to pay all this extra attention to all the pain in the world. Every the world is full of pain. Why? Because people have accumulated a lot of karma. Is pain associated with karma? Oh, you bet your bottom dollar it is. Is suffering associated with karma? You bet your last dime it is. Does the world have a lot of karma? Yes, it does. And so, if you are doing your best to be the wisest person you can be, a being of light, so they say, so to speak, right? And you are making decisions that will raise your consciousness. Not only raise your consciousness, but the consciousness of everyone around you. That's all you are responsible for, honey. You have done your part. You are doing it. And you deserve love and a pat on the back. Now do that for yourself. I want you to pat yourself on the back. I want you to give yourself a hug. Now this is where we're going to discuss what is tripping you up. Why is that not enough for you? Why is patting yourself on the back and hugging yourself seem like so lackluster to you? You know, like, I don't want to hug myself. I don't want to give myself a pat on the back. I want somebody else to do it, is what I hear you say. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Empath, so you say you need love. So you say you need affection. And you say that, you feel like you're going to die without it. So you're searching for love. And you want to know, who are you going to marry? Who is coming? Who, even though you just got out of a hellish relationship with a narcissist, you're looking already before you get a chance to really look at yourself in the mirror and see what pieces of yourself you have left. All right. So your kryptonite is not being loved. This is usually what makes an empath end a relationship. Once you realize, you know what, I'm not going to get the affection, I'm not going to get the sex, I'm not going to get the hugs and kisses, the compliments, the doting, the gifts, the gazing in the eyes, this symbiotic oneness connection, this twin flame has blown up in my face. Now I got to go. So let's look at this. So how someone got you beautiful soul in the first place, okay, is by love bombing you. Am I right? Did they not start off just telling you that you were just the most angelic mermaid, princess fairy on the planet Earth? And you are. Most likely you are. Most likely you spent like months and maybe a year or 2 or 3 getting your energy really high, juicing, eating vegan, meditating, doing your yoga, and maybe it don't even take a year. It could take a month for a being of light, an empath, to just really get their energy really high. And then you have like all of these men and all of these women on your ass because you're glowing, honey. Now, let me let you know that the darkness is attracted to the light as well as people of the light are attracted to the light, but the darkness is especially attracted to the light. Why? Because if you did all that work, they don't have to. Let that sink in. You're praying enough for everybody. You have meditated enough for me and for you, honey. Actually put my name on the list while I go smoke a cigarette. All right. So that should answer a lot of your questions. Like why? Because they're lazy. People of darkness don't want to do the work. It takes work to shine bright. And for some beings, that have come here and they are from a dimension of love, it maybe don't take as much work. Okay, fine, whatever. But it's your light, okay? To do with it what you will and to shine it where you please. So if someone is love bombing you, but you look at the life and you look behind the curtain, because spirit always gives us signs, warnings, big warnings, glaring warnings, warnings that can be seen all the way across the world. If you told one of your friends about the person that you met and they asked you certain questions, because I'm sure you leave out certain things, honey, because you don't want somebody to stop you or tell you the truth while you're running into your train wreck here. you know they'll be like, I'm in China and you're in America, but this don't sound right. And you're like, well, no, he's just like he's working on himself, and he has three baby mamas, but they get along. And girl, ain't no way in hell, and everybody know that ain't true. Okay. um no offense to people with three baby mamas or whatever and whatnot, you know. But that's a pathology within itself. That's a different subject. And so, why love bombing grabs you, sweetie, is because you weren't loved. And those are all the things you long for your caretakers to tell you, that you are a good person, you know, even though you're a good person. And this is something that you have to start just knowing for yourself. I'm a good person. How do you do that? Well, you go back into your childhood and you see the people that made you feel like you weren't a bad person for one reason or another. And those most of the time, those are very selfish people. They it goes something like this. Oh, you're gonna walk past me and you ain't gonna say nothing, you know. Or you see them dishes in the sink, you ain't gonna clean them. Or you see your brother or sister crying, you ain't gonna pick them up. Oh, you see I'm watching TV, you can't wait until I'm done. Oh, I'm tired, I can't come pick you up. It's like everything you need, everything you want, whether that be time, space to yourself, a life, friends, fun, food, all your needs get dismissed as minimal or getting on somebody's nerves, right? And so you attract people who they pull you in and make you feel like they're going to be the encouragement of your life that you've always been looking for, that you've always needed. But they're just really pulling you in so that you can meet their needs and do their spiritual work for them, because they see you're eager beaver to please, because you're trying to make up for not being liked, not being loved, people being annoyed with you when you were a kid. So you end up with people who are annoyed as well, again, with your needs, and you're not able to speak. You're not able to talk. You're not able to feel. You're not able to be strong either. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So that puts you in a more of a stressful bind than a relationship that helps you relax. Like a true relationship, you'll be able to say, you know what, this is what I need. And the person will also be eager to please. You know? But if you're not able to ever say how you feel without screaming at the top of your lungs, or without being interrupted, or without the person being annoyed with you and you kind of taking those daggers, then baby, you don't need dick. You don't need pussy. You need a therapist, because you need to talk. You need somebody to listen to you. You're really looking for someone to listen to you. And so you cover it over. It gets covered over with sex for a while, until you get mad and you be like, well, I'm not fucking you anymore because you won't listen to me. you know? You don't care for me. You're not giving me that love that you gave me. What happened? Love bombing is always a sign, because nobody's perfect. So for somebody to make you feel like you're perfect and they don't know you, come on now. It's like you don't even know me. I'm in love with you. Baby, it's only been a week. You don't know me. That should be your response the next time someone tries that with you. It's like, well, I don't love you. So if you want to continue dating and getting to know each other for at least a year, we can continue. But until we get to know each other, I can't honestly see the reasons why you will love me. As an adult, love isn't so cartoonish, okay? We got to eat up in here. We got to pay bills up in this piece. All right? We need our hair done. There's maintenance. Love is also very physical. Love is also, it reminds me of the Empress card or the Emperor card in the tarot deck. Love is very much here on earth. It's not just up in the sky, romance, looking at counting clouds and fantasizing about baby names and stuff like that. Babies cost money, okay? And if you want to enjoy the clouds, you need a blanket to lay your back on so that you can rest comfortably in the grass. And so, are you responsible? Can you handle your business? Okay. If that's taken care of, are you emotionally respectful and mature? Can you take turns when we talk? And not just at the beginning of the relationship. After 90 days or so, are you still the same person? You have to vet people. That's the mature thing to do. And then sometimes, people feel like they've been tricked, they've been fooled. Look around at people's lives and make sure you meet their friends and their family, their children, and see if there's any truths or lies being told there. Everything needs to match up. And as a full-grown adult, it's your responsibility to make sure you're making decisions that don't turn you into a damsel in distress. So we're going to talk about that next. So we're not going to downplay how torturous it is for a sensitive person to not be loved and a sensitive person to not be liked. But part of the shamanic journey is sitting with those cries and sitting with those screams and allowing yourself to feel. And if you need a trauma healer, I'm here. And if you need a therapist to help you get through that process, go ahead and reach out so that you can get through the process, so that you can resource those parts of yourself that feel torn to pieces and back into your core so that they can be useful to you in other ways besides searching out people, honestly, to try to heal that part of yourself. Because what you end up is running into trouble, into people who it seems like they hate you, again, for having needs and having feelings. And no one deserves to be hated for having feelings, and for saying, I need help. You should be able to tell your partner you need them. And I'm not saying that in a codependent way. I'm saying that in an interdependent way, to where you're healthy enough to admit that you have needs. And I know you are, but a lot of times you run into partners who aren't mature enough to understand that it's okay to have needs, because it's not okay with them. They're not okay with their own needs, which is why you have come in and picked up the slack in their life for those parts. You're trying to help them it's okay for you to have needs, it's okay for you to cry, and they say okay, and they cry on your shoulder. But now you're like, my turn to cry, and they're like, ew, get that crying shit away from me. And it's just, you're like confused. Didn't I just teach you that it's okay to cry, motherfucker? Like, my turn, bitch.
my my turn. So then you have to take responsibility and be like, well, you know what? I probably got in this relationship thinking that if I gave to you, you would give to me. And so, is that a reason, a proper and motive to get in a relationship? No, not really. No, not really. No. And why is that? Like I was saying before, um, partnerships are about not only love and wounds and emotions, but also about two people that um, on their own can handle themselves, can stand on their own. You had to take two people that could stand on their own, that find it delightful to do life with someone else, who want to share their life with someone. And so those people are the people that would be willing to open up and share. Because if you really
Look at yourself and your energy. If you really haven't been vulnerable before, if nobody ever lets you finish a sentence and you've never gotten a chance to really cry on anyone's shoulder, and you're always taking care of other people, do you really know how to be vulnerable for real in a relationship? You basically have been groomed to be in dysfunctional relationships. And you may not even know what love actually is and what a partnership actually is supposed to look like. So that's another reason to go get help. So let's talk about making decisions that turn you into a damsel in distress. This is, empaths don't like to admit this, but you have a hard time making decisions that are proper and healthy for you. Because you're making decisions a lot of times based off of what I was saying at the beginning, you know, the stress you feel around you and how you can pick up the slack. Instead of acting independently on your own accord for your own interest, you tend to make decisions that add stress to your life, but make other people feel like they can call on you when they're stressed or depend on you. They won't. They might not even ask. You just kind of assume the role, and that takes up a lot of your time, space, and energy. So, what time do you have to really build your career? If that's what you really love to do, you should make that a career and start charging people. And stop giving away freebies. Okay. So when you're deciding upon a relationship, where to live, major life decisions, ask yourself, is this decision going to turn me into a damsel in distress? Meaning that, am I going to have to call people to, on a low level, complain, you know? Or am I going to have to hide my complaints from everyone and pretend like I'm okay? When I'm really dying inside, to wind up in like a psych ward a year later and have someone have to come get me anyway, you know? Or am I going to end up homeless on the street with this bum of a person who doesn't take care of their responsibility? Or am I going to end up with hypertension, high blood pressure, you know, because I'm taking on too much responsibility? That's what I mean. You need to make decisions that are healthy and balanced for you. If you are putting yourself in a position to be rescued later on, it's not a good decision. And so then if you're realizing that you're doing that, you can ask your subconscious, why do I do that? Most likely it's because you want to please. You want to please. And you never been able to talk through anything. So you have a lot of voicelessness, meaning that you step into a situation, and even though you're not able to fully express, you might even subconsciously just pick up that you're not allowed to talk about certain things, right? because the person might consider it lame to talk about, or they might consider it like extra too much, or like you're being negative because you want to speak about things that you have concerns about, or maybe you want to talk about some things in your life that have hurt you, so you end up being voiceless in the relationship, and you move like almost like ghostly, you know, you just take care of the responsibilities and you make sure that person is happy. Like that person is 3 and they can't make themselves happy. Please. Okay? So yeah, your needs again go underground. You know, because and why do people do this to you? Because you might still want to know why. Why? Well, if you empowered yourself, if people allowed you to talk, when all they have to do is either be vulnerable, quote unquote, or get mad at you, quote unquote, to trigger you to help them or be there for them or take care of everything for them, then they will have to do all the stuff that you do themselves. It's really quite simple. They are taking advantage and using your weaknesses against you. And you have taught them through your behavior that that's okay with you, and you're just going to just shut up and please them. Because again, your kryptonite is not being loved. The worst thing for you is for someone to be mad at you. For instance, I experienced this in my family. I am a former scapegoat, okay, of my family. And I guess a former empath as well. Because I no longer assume the role. But when I started empowering myself and making decisions to not pay people's bills, to not let people call me suicidal or telling me stories about how they blacked out the night before and their underwear was on the other side of the room and they don't know what happened. And I'm sitting here stressed out, distressed, stressed out, honestly, to get a phone call from my family. Not really looking forward to it, okay? My usual state of being is pretty jovial. I do a really good job at taking care of my emotional body, making myself happy, doing the things I love to do, following my heart, living my purpose. So I had to eventually cut all that other stuff out. Now they ain't my friends, child. They don't call. They mad at me. I'm arrogant. I'm selfish. I'm the devil, and I'm a witch. And I'm full of shit. And my business is fake. Like, girl. And at first, I had such a hard time digesting that or integrating that, or like I had my inner child was going insane inside, like with why don't they love me? Why don't they want me to be happy? And then I talked to someone, and they were like, "Well, like, you know what? In the past, you taught them how to treat you. You taught them that you were going to be accommodating," which I was. I was very accommodating, very sweet, loving, giving, supportive, resourceful sister. Very good resource for them to have, huh? And I don't mind being that resource for people. But I asked for them to also be that resource for me. And that's when they started getting mad. When I started requiring that they acquire some health, enough health to be there for me the same way I'm there for them, or else I'm not going to be able to be there so much. It's just too much and too imbalanced. That's my only request. Now for them, that was too much to ask. That's too much to ask. For them to be responsible and be held accountable for their end of the bargain. And so that's how you know who your real friends are, or the true people that have your back who those people are is that if you need something, or even if you say, hey, when I need something, will you be there for me the same way I'm there for you? Which is a very vulnerable thing to say. And a lot of in my family, everybody gets mad at me for having those expectations, and so then I had to kind of stick it out, because it's that empath thing, the where you is if people get mad at you, you go and okay, fine, here, you just go back into your mold, and that's what they're hoping will happen. But now I'm retraining them because child, they ain't going nowhere. Please. I mean, if we never talk again, we never talk again. Those are the risks that you have to be willing to take. You have to be that gangster within your own self-care and your own inner constitution and autonomy, that you're like, so be it. You know, it's extreme, but so is the abuse of your energy, your time, your love, your support, and you not feeling loved, and that being the thing that really triggers you, you know, not being loved and also being told that you're not loving. Yeah, so my family tried to play that game with me, like I'm not loving, and just and you just have to remember the years, the time, the effort that you have put in to trying to assist these people, honestly, to get to the point to where they can stand on their own 2 feet, which has always been my goal. I don't need people to rely on me for the rest of my life in order for me to feel like I'm somebody. I can be somebody enjoying my own money and my own peace of mind. I understand people needing help from time to time. You know, if people needing emotional support from time to time. But like I said before, if I'm not able to finish a sentence when I talk to you about myself, then what are we doing here? There is no we. It's all about you. And I am not your mama. I did not give birth to you. And that's the only people in my life that will be able to resource me in that way, where it can just be all about them and I'll be their slave, okay? Children, because they are defenseless and they can't care for themselves. And I understand also that everyone has wounds and that everyone needs therapy. They need to go to therapy. You don't have to be their only resource. You don't have to be the center of everyone's love. Their love needs. That's a lot of stress on you. For very little in return. And that can literally drive someone insane. And I don't want that for you. And if you've already been driven to the brink, I commend you for your strength and for all of your hard work to get back to balance and to health. But, a lot of us avoid the painful process of sitting with our own souls, with our own suffering and our own pain. But it's more painful to, get into these toxic or stay in these toxic, whether it be family, friends, or lovers, relationships, and to never truly recover, because you're bouncing from, one bad situation to the next. And the only way to stop it is to stop. Just stop. Stop and look within. Stop and cry about the things that have hurt you. Stop and get mad at the correct people, because sometimes we can hold a lot of resentment and bitterness towards our exes and stuff that we attract because of our wounds, and they attract us because of their wounds as well. We can be so mad at them, but we're really mad at a mom and we're really mad at dad for not loving us, protecting us, caring for us the way we need to. You do deserve love. But the first part of this is realizing that you can't ever go back and get that love that you didn't get from in your childhood from lovers, from a husband, from I mean some people are lucky and they end up with kind-hearted people, but trust and believe if you are because I've seen this when I do astrology couples counseling before in general. If you are relying upon your mate for all of your love, needs, and affection, and validation and encouragement, you are stressing them out. And eventually, they will break. So, the tables can turn where an empath can become a narcissist. Because honestly, like I said before, I always say this. To me, somebody else might say different. Empath and narcissist is two sides of the same coin. In one relationship, you might be the angel. In another relationship, you could be the devil to somebody. You know, imagine being with someone that's healthier than you. Because that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for a partner who is mature enough to love. But go to therapy and learn how to take care of most of that stuff yourself. That way, you're not a baby. Like you're not 6 years old or 12 years old or 3 years old emotionally when you get into a relationship. Because trust me, your mate, because you're looking for this perfect mate that will love you through this or whatever, that will love you enough to love you through this. And you could possibly find that. But you don't want to stress your loving partner out and make them not really love you or just tolerate you. Love you, but just be like annoyed with you. You want them to have a good time in the relationship just like you want to have a good time. So do it for yourself, do it for your mate, and do it for your children because the next in line to catch hell from you not healing is your children. You know, if you don't get your needs met, by going to a therapist or healing your energy or whatever it is you decide you want to do, it will spill over into every area of your life, and you'll end up being like the people that you don't want to be like because that's what your parents have done to you. They did not heal first before they had children. A lot of people don't because they don't see how they are as a problem. And I feel like a lot of empaths make that mistake as well. They see themselves as a victim, and at a certain point, you need to grow up out of that, or maybe you don't grow up out of that, and you pass on this victim consciousness BS from generation to generation. Okay, so I'm giving you the skinny. I'm telling you what's really hood. And so you want to take responsibility for your triggers, basically. This is what this is called, trigger happy. Get trigger happy. Take responsibility for your triggers. Don't continue this pattern in your life personally. And don't repeat it in your family. Because I'm honestly doing this for the children, okay? Us adults, a lot of us are stuck in our ways. And most people, even if they go get help, when they get to the hard part, they just might quit. There's no guarantee. But if I can help one person be a better person, that does help the children of the future. And I am here for that because I know how it felt to be a kid with crazy parents, who they say, oh, they ain't know no better. Okay, girl, if you say so. When you're in a certain state of consciousness and you're full of old wounds and resentment, bitterness, hatred, which are all normal emotion. I'm not knocking those experiences, but you got to get it out your system at a certain point. It corrodes, it eats on itself, and it infects people who are bonded to you energetically. So the question is then, like, how can you stop yourself from going around and around in circles and being a forever I'm healing, like, for the rest of my life? I don't think there's any way possible to not be healing for the rest of your life. Meaning, I look at Mother Nature, and she's always going through life, death, life cycles. Every season is a new beginning and a death and a purging. And I think that is how you keep yourself from being a victim for the rest of your life, is you allow, if something needs to be purged, let it purge. And so that means you can't be a stranger to your emotional subtle bodies, and you can't be resistant all the time for the rest of your life like a little kid to the corrections. When Mother Nature kicks you in the ass in your life, when you make mistakes, you can't just ignore, the pain and suffering that you go through in certain situations, and just blame other people. Eventually, if you have a string of bodies behind you, who's the main person involved in every single situation in your life? It's you. And I'm not talking about sexual bodies, because sometimes people in this society now, they say, when people say you got bodies, that means you're promiscuous. I mean, just relationships in general, friends, family, lovers. If you have a string of people behind you where nobody loves you, nobody cares about you, nobody is supportive of you, no one makes you happy, nothing, in your world makes you happy, then you need to go figure out why that is. And how you don't stress out a partner is by having your own life, not as revenge because they don't love you, but out of fulfillment and happiness for yourself. So there has to be balance in your life to where you're fulfilled in your purpose, you're fulfilled emotionally and psychologically and spiritually, and that can include relationships. Your body feels healthy. Like, all of this is a part of growing up. And for an empath, for someone who has never been taken care of, all of this can feel like a burden. But it's like exercising. At first, it's hard, and then you get used to it. Or for people who remember when you first moved out on your own, how hard it was, paying all your bills and being responsible and being deathly afraid that you weren't going to make your rent every month. But somehow you do, and somehow you get through, and somehow you survive. And then you get to the point to where you thrive. If you don't give up, if you don't make decisions that turn you into a damsel in distress, then you can make it. And, I know some people get tired of not feeling love and not having affection, and especially people who are codependent can't stand it. I made this workbook that's on my website called Love Drunk Workbook. It's specifically for codependent people. I find that codependent people have the most stubborn body, subtle energy, because they don't want to hear, love yourself. They hate hearing it. And so, but they are the ones that keep coming back to me the most often, I think, for affection, for love, for validation, for support, but they hate doing the inner work themselves. And if you're one of those people, I suggest that you get that workbook pronto. It's for 5 days. It's 30 pages, and you'll have it for the rest of your life. I used to be codependent. Hell, I can relate to everybody. I feel like when it comes to relationships, I've been a martyr. I've been an empath. I've been codependent. I've had soul ties. I can relate to everyone, and I feel like I've been through so much when it comes to love, affection, and relationships, so that I can have compassion. I say everything I say out of love, and I'm being super direct and in my communication, but I hope you can sense that I care.